Because I keep getting my privacy deliberately invaded and stalked and harassed for 8 years, New South Wales Police is not going to do anything about it. Clearly, local police don't. But I will be getting my money, my assets, my belongings, my car, my furniture, my living home environment in the city back. So there's been a lot of made up stories over the years. George Jacobs is well and truly involved in it. And I keep saying, yeah, that's not true. So there's this weird crap that people thought I grew up in the country, but I never did. My family's not from the country. Let me just really grab documents. Actually, I have uploaded those documents. Hang on. Let me just quickly see. I was going through them the other day. So people that my mother affiliates with in the horse industry since she moved to the country really don't know me. They might know me at a horse show if I competed, but I didn't grow up. Like, we didn't grow up riding horses every day. This is ridiculous. I grew up more suburbia than, well, put it bluntly, Giovanni grew up in the country. I grew up in Sydney, in Ruddy Hill. Idiots keep carrying on with this crap thinking that I'm a naturist person. That was the best acting scene I ever did about trees being everywhere. I was mocking climate change activists. I can't stand climate change activists. Like my grandparents' place, like that was all, majority of it was concrete. You know, a couple of little small grass strip out the front, little small grass strip out the back. Most of it was concrete. There were stables out the back, but majority of it was concrete. The house my nan grew up in, 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt, all of it was concrete. The house I grew up in, 12 Dunsmore Street, Ruddy Hill, yeah, it was a horse stud. That's once you left the landscape garden backyard, there was a horse stud. But let me explain to you. Actually, I've got it here. Because I actually asked Blacktown Council for if they had photos of it, and they actually had an aerial photo of it from 1986. So okay, that would do. Where have I saved it? Good question. I did upload it. I'm sure I did. If not, it's got to be somewhere here. If not, it's on my phone, which I can't go for the moment. But so basically, there was no grass in the front yard at all. It was all stone. You go to the backyard, it was majority concrete. There was a tiny, thin strip of grass before you got up to the sandstone pavement. I didn't grow up in nature, but this is ridiculous. I didn't grow up on a farm. Stephanie DeSalis is one loser that doesn't know me, and she makes up bullshit stories. We grew up with horses. Like, actually, here's Nan's house. I've uploaded it. This is the house my grandmother grew up in, 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt. This slide here is from my great uncle Fred's collection. He was taking photos when they were redoing the fence out the front. So that's where Nan grew up. My great grandmother lived her life out in that house. That's the house she raised her family in. Her brother owned it. So Uncle Fred, his real name is Leo Patrick Sayer, he actually owned that house that his sister lived in. So, and he left it to my grandmother Lola, who sold it in 1999. Not country people, not farming people. Here's my great grandmother here. So that's Mary Ann Keegan, or Nee Sayer. So she married Arthur Keegan, a jockey. They're all from the city. So Maisie, or Mary, her mother is Julia Sayer, or from the inner city suburbs of Sydney. Julia's sister, this is what I said to people, and these people thought I was making it up. Julia's sister is Annie Williams Shawkner. She's from Bellevue Hill. Now that house that was left to her grandson, which is Gary Williams, which is Tommy Williams' son. So when Annie Williams Shawkner, her son Tommy Williams lived with her, and Tommy Williams' son Gary, which is Nan's cousin, lived there. He got left the house. The house was too big to manage on his own, so he sold it and lived his life out, which he's still alive, I think, in Bondi. That's my great grandmother, who I was very close to growing up, and she was in the suburbs, living with Nan and Pop in Blacktown. And then in 1989, she moved back to the house that she raised her family in and lived with her brother, her life out. So Mary lived with Uncle Fred in 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt. And anyone in the family knows I was very close to my nan. And I used to be at Leichhardt all the time growing up at Nan's house. So I said to people, like, my mum's making shit up because she wants this bullshit country life that she changed her lifestyle around. Let me show you a photo of my mum when she still lived in Sydney when she was normal. she changed her lifestyle around to suit her second husband, and she wanted everybody else to do the same as her. Actually, who is that? Now I can't see this photo. That might be Carol there on a horse. Hang on. I'm going to get these. So we grew up in the Sydney shows. Actually, I can't see that. But we did grow up with horses. But we grew up in all the Sydney shows. So when I was young, we did the Nationals, the Royals, we did Moore Park. We did travel and do Wellington. We did Gosford, Richmond, Blacktown. Sydney was full of horse shows when I grew up in Sydney. So if you weren't a plebeian, you actually owned horses for sport. We owned horses for sport. But we're not farming people. I can't give a shit about nature. I hate where I live here. It's fucking too much nature. You've got a golf course that way and golf course this way. And I never grew up playing golf. My stepfather did. My dad played baseball growing up, Mark Fleming. And I grew up playing soccer. Actually, like I said, Mark Fleming, here we go. I don't know why they spelled his name with one M. It's two M's. Maybe they had to pay per letter. But these are Dad's baseball trophies from when he used to play for Parramatta Wolf. So my dad's from Parramatta. Mum's from Darlinghurst. I did upload. Let me see if I've got... We're definitely not country people. Giovanni's a country person. Giovanni's a country person pretending to be a Sydney person. I'm a Sydney person that just lives my life normally. I don't have any... don't have to try because I am from Sydney. My family is from Sydney, so I don't try to be somebody I'm not. I didn't grow up going camping. I didn't grow up standing around campfires, singing songs or whatever bullshit my mother wants to make up. She changed her lifestyle around when she moved with her second husband. So she moved to be like her second husband. And that's where she lives now. Mind you, that place that she lives in, my dad paid for that. I don't care what Carol wants to say because Mum made money from the house that Dad gave her. By the way, when it comes to English Bull Terriers, that's my dad's. So my dad's mother, Ruby, loved English Bull Terriers. That's her statue one. That's at the holiday house at Long Beach. So my dad's side of the family, the Flemings, they kept my grandmother's house that was on the beach at Long Beach. They kept that as a holiday house until 2015. So I used to go up there and spend holiday. Well, Dad lives at Empire Bay, but I used to have the spare set of keys. All my tools were in the sheds up there. I had furniture up there. So there we go. Anyway, Nan, Ruby, loved English bullies. So did Reg, my grandfather. I'm definitely not this nature person. Here we go. So I keep trying to explain to people. That's Amanda and myself. Amanda's wearing the Kumara Pony Club shirt from the western suburbs of Sydney. We both used to ride for Kumara. I'm doubling on the back of a horse wearing my board shorts because I was always at the beach. This is in Castle Hill, this photo. Yeah, that's me when I had a crew cut. In fashion, I had a crew cut, so I had a crew cut. Majority of the time I had rat's tails, long hair, whatever. I always had different variations of long hair. I've always been darker skinned than Amanda and darker hair. Amanda looks like Mum's side, I look like Dad's side. That's it. You look at us growing up, as we grew up, I look more like my dad's side, the Flemings. Amanda looks more like our mother's side. This photo here, you can see it's a built-up area. Look at the houses behind it. That's Castle Hill. So we had horses in Sydney. I keep telling these idiots, we are not from the country. Whatever Carol wants to make up, it's a scam, and it's just cost me everything. So this crap about, was he like that before his brain injury? I'm going to say again, there was no brain injury. A head injury is not a brain injury. There was no abnormalities to the brain. And if you want to know, ask the one person that's not scamming, ask me. So this crap about, was he up doing housework at 2 o'clock in the morning? Like Mum would say, he was never like that. I'm like, yeah, I was. I didn't finish work at Star Casino to 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. I got home from work. I cooked dinner, I cleaned up, I vacuumed, I washed, I had a sleep, then I went to my second job, which was doing labouring. Had another little nap, got up, did my night job, working in an office. I was sending emails at midnight. People are just asking everybody else except for me, and all these people are fucking really scamming. So I made a comment about growing up with ethnic people. I did. Here you go. This is me at St. Aidan's. So I had a mullet. Hair shaved on top. You can see how black it is. That is me at St. Aidan's. That is Mrs. Dickey. I remember her, who married, I think she became Mrs. Vattini. Anyway, I had her for kindergarten 2. So I started there in 1984. I had her in 1985. And then I had her again in year 4. This is my year 4 class. That teacher there, I remember her because she remarried. I think her name might have been, well, she married. Her maiden name's Dicky, Miss Dicky. Kindergarten teacher, that's Graydon, African friend. So Graydon is from Africa. All these blokes here, so that's Graydon there. I don't know if you can see. That's me. Oh God, I can't remember this Maltese guy's name here. These two, Graydon and myself. Yeah, and that, actually, I think that might be Rebecca Johnson's brother. Not sure. Could be wrong. Anyway, this guy here, Graydon, myself, we used to hang out down the cafe. There was a coffee shop next to the milk bar, like a little sort of, used to do like crappy coffee in the 80s down in Rudy Hill Road. I grew up in suburbia. There was no land farming growing up. There was just horses for sport. I've said this, so here we go, here's my school badge. People will talk about me knowing other languages. The first thing I learned as a 4-year-old turning 5 was how to pronounce Omega Pro Dios. And I think it means, I know Dios is God. I think it's in God we trust, from memory. In God we trust. So I learned Latin as a 4-year-old, 4 turning 5. I started talking other languages when I was a little kid. So this whole thing of me going from English and then using another word instead of using an English word, this has been since I was about 5 and 6. So, and Dad used to always go to me. So Mark Fleming would go, Caprice, comprende? It was the 80s. Dad was joking around. He goes, you got it? Okay, comprende? Like that's what Dad used to do. Like, he's not Italian, but that's what he used to say. We don't know what nationality Dad's father is, but he used to go, all right. So Mark Fleming would go, comprende? Like this to you. So this is not uncommon for me just to go from English to another language. I've been doing it since I was a little kid. So everybody, including George Jacobs, has started this crap, which doesn't make any sense. And I kept saying, okay, can you ask me and I'll tell you. Was Justin like this before he was mugged? Yes, he was. Stop lying about me. You've cost me my money, my assets, belongings. As for me living in the city, I've always lived in the city. Giovanni's from the country. So, you want to clear up space in Sydney, move everybody who's not from Sydney back to where they're from. So if you're from Adelaide, go back to Adelaide. I'm really fed up with it. Here's across the road. So this park, that's my Nana Lola. I don't know who she's holding there, but that's not, I think it's Mum. This is across the road from 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt. These viaducts, Nan grew up climbing them. Okay. My mother grew up climbing them. I grew up climbing them. My family's from Sydney areas. Here we go. This is my mother here. Mummy's born in Darnhurst. That's my great-grandmother. That's Mary. That's Lola. That's Carol. These swings were still there when I was growing up. These viaducts here, I used to sit out in that park and sketch them. So Carol's line, my family's line to you. Boy, am I fed up. Here we go. As I said, yep, blonde kids. So Anderson boat shed down the other end of the boat wharf down at Ettalong Beach. That is Amanda and myself when we were kids. Now, we're about 2 years of age there. My hair as baby hair. So, and Sky Sheridan Fleming, my half-sister on Dad's side, is no different. When she was a baby, this age here, she had blondish, fine, straight hair. As that hair grows out and you start developing your own self, it changes. And I said that. So my hair, you can actually see here, my roots are black. So, and the better one to actually show that is when I'm about 3 years of age in my soccer photo. Because I've been playing soccer since I was about 3. Stopped when Dad left. Here we go. This is a better one. So this is me playing soccer for Doonside Hawks. Now I'm losing my baby hair and it's going black in the centre. So I had this black line of roots. So as I got older, the blonde, it was just growing out and there was this sort of black stripe right here, which is my roots that were just growing out and my hair was going black. That's a good one to show that. That's me playing soccer as a kid. I'm about 3, 4 years of age. I wouldn't be much older than that. Because I was playing, here we go, I'll tell you up. No, okay, 1981 too. Oh no, that's 1984. There's a line for it. Okay, so 4 or 5. I was playing soccer before I started kindergarten. That's left wing, under 6. Under 6 red for Doonside Hawks. I said, yeah, Doonside Hawks. As for riding horses, that's me when I'm about 2 years of age on a horse in Blacktown Show, dressed as a cowboy. Not an actual cowboy, I'm just dressed up as one. That's a Sydney show, and that's my cousin on mum's side. I don't ever change. So they've tried to scam, and I've said this for years. It's like, I don't understand why you don't ask me. They've destroyed my life for 8 years. This crap about trying to turn me into a country person. My mother already tried to do that. She left Sydney and wanted us to change to fit into her lifestyle. I've just found it. Here we go. All right. So you can see how built up the area was that I lived in. This is our property here. So we had all this property. These are other houses. These are our neighbours' houses, all here. All right, it's built up. That's Robin, one of our neighbours. This is our drive. This is 12 Dunsmore Street, Ruddy Hill. This is now a housing estate. This whole area was Pebblestone, right up here. So this is all their long driveway. You can see that. Pebblestone, this backyard. You can see that tiny little patch just there? That was grass. That's sandstone, concrete. Tiny. This was land because we had horses. There's the stables for sport. There's the swimming pool. There's the garage. There's entertainment area. This is where I grew up. I did not grow up country. I did not grow up as some country person raised by country people. Oh, this whole, I must have this country accent and be, involved in wildlife and nature. No, that's actually Shane Childs, my friggin' mum's sister's son, who loved nature and all that crap. This is where I grew up. Okay? And then mum moved. I was only there when mum moved for 6 years. And I went back to Sydney. Thought, screw this, I'm not living like this. It's ridiculous. I thought she was insane. And so I still think she's insane. Move from that, where your neighbours are right there. Move from that to what she lives in now. I can't stand it. I even can't stand where I live here because this is where I'm used to. I'm used to living built up areas. I hate being isolated. I hate land with a passion. These ridiculous climate change people are trying to drag me into their bullshit. These greenies, I'm like, yeah, mate, you got the wrong person. Yeah, I don't give a shit. You can have your climate change, but everybody else can also have their own opinion. And my own opinion is, get fucked. I don't really give a shit when it comes to climate. Except the fact is that, Sydney is getting hotter since the 80s. Okay, this is Rebecca Johnston, not Johnson. Right, this is going to be confusing. Rebecca Johnston is my cousin, not this person, is my cousin. Her mother is Sandra Fleming. Her father is Barry Johnson. Okay, Rebecca Johnston married Darren LeMay. This is Rebecca Johnston, who I went to primary school with at St Aidan's, who I went to Kumara with, Pony Club in the western suburbs of Sydney. She married Alex Posey as Alex Posey. I don't know what happened. I haven't seen them since 2008. As I said, my mum's making these stories up going, oh, he doesn't remember these people from Tamworth. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, she's lying to you people and you look like fools. Carol's done this before. The only difference is Carol's mother and her father would put her in a place. So she wouldn't get away with it. You people are embarrassing yourself. These people where my mum lives doesn't know me. I've had nothing to do with them since 1995. They have no idea about anything to do with me, my father's side, where I've lived, where I've grown up. They keep saying, oh, he was 7 when he moved in. No, we were 10. The week of my 10th birthday, my mother moved. And I remember looking at the place and I said to my stepfather, I said, how old do I have to be to move back home to Sydney? He said 16. I said, all right, I'll see you when I'm 16. I was like, I couldn't believe this. I honestly couldn't believe that my mother moved from where we lived in Sydney to where she lives now. I honestly couldn't believe it. And I'm a 10-year-old going, this is insane. What am I meant to do? She's insane. Oh, honestly, and I still believe that. I'm looking at this going, she's insane. To move from Sydney to that, she's fucking insane. Rebecca used to hang out down in Red Hill Road too. Down at the coffee shops and the milk bars. Alex Posey, like I said, these two, we were holidaying at Nora Head. in for New Year's Eve 2007 to New Year's Day 2008. That's the last time I saw them, actually. Like to know what's happening. I actually said to Beck, so have you heard from Graydon, my best friend from primary school, African guy? She said, oh yeah, he's a drag queen at King's Cross. I'm like, oh, I'd like to catch up with him. I haven't seen him since primary school. So he's my best friend at primary school. So I didn't grow up country. I grew up city. My family is city. The person that did grow up country is Giovanni, and Giovanni pretends to be from Sydney because he's got all these Adelaide friends that moved to the city, and they're just pretentious people trying to be from Sydney. And it's like, yeah, but you're not from Sydney. You know this. I'm actually from Sydney. My family's from Sydney, which is why I don't have a chip on my shoulder and have to pretend to be anything I'm not. But you just try to pretend to be somebody you're not, which is why you're always out at these white parties and all this bullshit. It's like because you're trying too hard. You're trying to be somebody you're not. You're from country town Adelaide. And you can tell as soon as people move into Sydney, they're involved in all this bullshit. Oh, let's go to white parties. It's like, oh man, fuck these guys. Adelaide people. They're just pretentious people because they're from this smallest bloody area of Australia. So yeah. So no, so I've been dragged into stuff where people think, even this Belinda Jeffries, she looks like a fucking loser. Hang on, here we go. Here's my mum's brother's. Oh, okay, this is Michael's death record. All right, I've got all the records. Actually, hang on, I scanned them in the other night. So mum and all mum's Sydney siblings, except for Marianne, is actually born in St Margaret's Hospital, Darlinghurst. So let me just grab it in. And I'm going to stop at there because I want this to upload. But this is a joke. People get, oh, was he like this before his brain injury? Ask me then. You're going to ask people that are scamming, and I'm tired of scamming. It's cost me my money. It cost me my assets, cost me my belongings. They're asking people that don't even know me. Angel Harris. Like, for fuck's sakes. What do these people know except I show up at a party? What does anybody know except, oh, you see me at a party? Why not just ask me? Because not one person has actually ever asked me, and I'm putting up with so much crap that people are making up because they just believe something that isn't true. Here we go. All right. Big Nan's certificate of marriage. Actually, I'm going to show this one because I think she got married in Wellington. I could be wrong. I know they were living in Wellington because she was marrying, her husband was a jockey, and Wellington's where the racing industry was. Although Big Nan's side of the family is all from Sydney, but her husband's wasn't. It would have it here if it does. Jockey, Wellington. Yeah, I'm sure she was married. I know they lived in Wellington before he broke his back. So Arthur William James Keegan was a jockey. Mary Ann Sayer is a dressmaker. So she was my great grandmother used to be a dressmaker, seamstress. That's her marriage certificate. But let me get out of that. Rachel, I want to find the birth records. Julia Say. Okay, Julia Say's death record. Julia is Big Nan's mother. Julia Sayer is my great grandmother's mother. She died in the house in Leichhardt. You can see there. On the 25th of February 57, she died from lung problems. Her mother is Bridget Dufresne. There we go. So Bridget Dufresne was the one I keep saying was French. That I didn't give a shit. But yeah, that's what Nana Pop said. Who cares? Birth certificate of Neil. Let's say, yeah, St Margaret's Hospital. There we go. St Margaret's Hospital, Sydney. That's where they're all born. In Darlinghurst. I've already put all this up. So, but this is crap. In the last 8 years, I got labelled as a drug user because I'm up at all hours. My mum's scamming. She is really scamming this time. And her mother's not around to put a stop to it. I'm going to make sure as hell that I keep fighting this. So you keep interfering in my life. You might as well just, what you people might as well do is call it quits pay me back what I worked hard for. So over 100,000 in savings, my expensive furniture, assets, belongings, my car, and leave me alone to live my life in peace in the city, because I will make your life live in hell. Believe me, I'm not backing down. You kept interfering in my life, and that George Jacobs, man, he didn't listen to work. At least people listen to Giovanni. Giovanni wasn't around before. For fuck's sakes, I met Giovanni in August 2008, and he was moving back to Adelaide when I met him, because he's from Adelaide. He wasn't living in Sydney long when I met him. And he used to say, "Oh, I'm only here because of you. If I didn't meet you, I would be in Adelaide." Well, go back to Adelaide. That frees up places in Sydney. I'm from Sydney. I'm staying in Sydney. Why should I leave where I'm actually born and raised? I don't live in, where my family's not from. I live where my family's from. If my family move, that's their problems. They can all move and do what they want, but I'm still living in the areas where my family's from, where I'm from, where my heritage is from. Like, I'm not in the city, but my family heritage is from the inner city. I've lived most of my life in the inner city. I'm born in the suburbs of Sydney. I hate where I live at the moment. It's right on a fucking horrible sports oval. It's like being in a little country town. You walk to the friggin' shops and I'm like, oh my fucking God, this is like a town. This is like Connecticut. It's fucking horrible. So, and all it's done is actually, like, this has just gone on now so long, since 2016. It's ridiculous. And people I went to high school with, like, seriously, a lot of those people, some of them may have known me for 1 year, some may have known of me for 4 years, but I wasn't in the area I lived in, like, for high school for longer than 6 years. So none of those people knew me for any longer than 6 years. 6 years out of 44 years of my life. So whatever scheming Carol's up to and her sisters and all this crap, and leave me out of it, just pay me back what you owe me. Oh, hang on, actually. Another thing, let me grab photos of me when I was younger. Because there was this thing mentioned years ago. So I did do modelling so I was involved in fashion and modelling. Carol kept trying to make me involved with crap where she lives, so make friends in the area. I'm not going to be involved in wildlife. I'm not going to fucking go on bushwalks. Like, are you kidding me? Get in touch with reality. When I was a kid, so I grew up wearing designer labels. I grew up being stylish. So did my fucking mother when she was older, in the 80s. Let me show you. But she wants the lifestyle she lives in. Good. Be happy with it. Don't force, like, her parents will always say to her, if you're so happy there, Carol, why do you have to force everybody to move? Even Reg, my grandfather, refused to visit her once she moved. It was always like, Carol, if you're so happy there, why are you forcing everybody to move? Makes sense. If you're so happy where you're living, here we go. Oh, that's the one. Here's one of my first apartments. By the way, this is not Christy Childs. This is not me. This person here sitting down, I was having this party, and there was a lot of uni students from Armidale came to this party. This is a party hanger on in that state. I think her name was Christy. This is one of my first apartments. I was 17. That's my fur coat. So when people make up stories about me, this lady here at a house party at my apartment in 1997 is wearing it was a Beaver men's fur coat. She wore my fur coat, and I think she went home with it. Here we go. So, yeah, I've been living in apartments since I was 17. I haven't lived in the house and land and crap. He's like, what did Wesley Mission start this shit? All this bullshit. Like, who are these people that just kept in front of me when I was working? So as for put on my hair, you can see I tie it back and straighten it. I brush it with a coarse brush and straighten it back, but it's frizzy. That's me going to work in 1999, 16. My hair's black. Well, naturally, dark brown near black, it bleaches easily. I'm going to leave it there because it's almost just want to continue this until it goes to half an hour. I'll find quickly, another one. There we go, talking about all my fur coats. All right, this lady, left my place with my fur coat on. I had a fur coat when I was 17. Right? This is the fur coat I had when I was about 21, 22. These are men's fur coats. Here's my other fur coat that Sky's wearing in 2013. That's my half-sister, Sky Sheridan Fleming. That's my other fur coat. Here, that's me wearing, Agnes Rappaport gave me her mink as because I was using fur when I was doing fashion costume design, or it was called, so I got a credit for it and I passed in 2009, design of wearable objects. So that's who I am. People are listening to people that, I can't believe idiots listen to Stephanie Tassalis. I don't know how many times I've said this. Okay, she doesn't know me. Yes, I know of her. Yes, she knows of me briefly. I met her for the first time in late 2004. Okay? By July 2005, I started to avoid her because, she was stalking. She was weird. It was creepy. She was making up bullshit stories, and my partner at the time, John Cabana, said, Justin, and I was laughing about it. John kept saying, stop laughing it off. She's got these delusional fantasies. She tells people that you're this country cowboy, and and then she starts to this, he was molested, that's why he was gay, or no, a female broke his heart. I'm like, I'm gay because I'm gay. This is ridiculous. I've always been openly gay. I'm not bisexual. I've never been with women. I don't really care for women. I'm just a masculine gay man. Always have been. Never had any issues with it. She's a nut job. She doesn't know me, and people have asked her. Giovanni's one of the ones that started this. So as soon as he started with this crap and started telling people, he's changed since he was mugged. I'm like, how would Giovanni know? I'm the person that will answer that, thank you. And I'll say, no, I haven't changed since I was mugged. There was no change in me. It was just a mugging. There was no change in me. So stop saying I've changed. I didn't change. Giovanni was the one telling George Jacobs and all these people that, he's changed since he was mugged. Giovanni met me for the first time in August 2008. There was never change. And then my mum grabbed hold of that. It was like, he has. So my mum and mum's family, as soon as I was mugged, wanted to scam. Carol's like, he has to come here now. It's like, no, I don't. They're scamming. It's fraud. I'll keep going down the path to make sure you arseholes get arrested. I wish I'd never met Giovanni Consalvo. There's been nothing but trouble since he moved in to my place in 2009. He dragged my mother into my life because he started with the bullshit. He's changed. And then it's like, my mum's like, yes, we were so close before he was mugged. No, we weren't. No, I definitely was never close to my mother growing up, and everybody who knows me knows this. Never was. So he has just caused so much drama in my life since 2009, and I'm paying for it. As for my life, you want to know about me, you just ask me. No one talks for me. I'm sick of it. Giovanni has no idea about me. He moved into my life and that was it. And the crap of that, he never wore suits. I'm like, yeah, I did. I worked in an office. I wore suits every day. Actually, I don't have my host suit, but look, watch the DVD from 2007. That's a good indication. So it's just a joke. My CD collection, most of it's from the 90s and early 2000s. You can see the music I have with that. So I'm not going to put up with much more of this. It's already past half hour, which is what I want to do, a half-hour post. I'll spell it out in black and white for you and put another post up. But I'll tell you now, this crap's cost me damages. You're paying for it. But I'm still getting harassed by people because they thought I couldn't look after myself because Giovanni wanted to commit fraud and say he was a carer so he'd get extra money in his unemployment. Yeah. Just because I get sick, which, on and off and so forth, doesn't mean I can't look after myself. I'm not paying for this damage. I've had my sports car back, thank you. I've always driven sports cars. Never have I ever driven anything other than high performance muscle car and sports cars. There was one car I had that my mother forced me to buy. I only had it for a year. And when I moved back home to Sydney, I got rid of it. Mum forced me to buy it because she wanted it for herself. So that was it. It was a car that she would have. And she always makes up this stuff. You can't tow a horse float with that type of car. Why would I want to tow a horse float? What the fuck's wrong with you? You're insane. She's an idiot. And she's a fucking deadbeat lowlife. Seriously, focus on my dad. My dad's a much better person than my mother. Mark Ian Fleming is a really nice guy. I feel sorry for him that he was ever married to my mum. My mum's a fucking idiot. And all these people, listen, the deadbeats in the western suburbs. Oh my fucking god, they're dumb Irish. Like you fucking losers. They don't even know me. Like they'll make it like the shit that come out of the mouth. I'm just like, oh my god, you're talking about Shane Childs. Your mum barely hung around you idiots. You hung around her sister Robin Childs and the at fucking the deadbeat house that she lived in Knox Road. You lot barely came to our place in Riddy Hill.